Coming to our plenary session for Mobile First Designs, Exception and Expectations. Now, I've got a wonderful panel lined up for this. How to engage the new age customer. Our session moderator, Mr. Manmohan Jain, consultant and mentor, Octane Marketing. Manmohan Jain has an experience of 30 years in the information technology, internet and related industries. Please welcome Mr. Manmohan Jain. Mr. Anurag Gupta, India MD, SVG Media. He has over 20 years of experience across diverse industries, FMCG, office automation, stockbroking, media and internet. Mr. Anurag Gupta. Amber Krishan, Executive User Experience Strategist, Human Factors International. He plays a multifaceted role as Executive User Experience Strategist. He manages large user experience design programs across digital strategy, usability evaluation, user interface structure design, and usability testing engagements. Nishant Jain, Chief Executive Officer, Design for Use. His immense experience and knowledge sets him apart in delivering excellent designs. Please welcome Nishant. Vijay Dhaka, Sales Head, Ignite Digital Services. He has more than 9 years of experience in formulating, designing and selling digital marketing solutions. And Yusuf Javed, Founder and Director, Mind Digital Group. He's a tri-national and trilingual seasoned management executive with experience in building teams, strategic planning and direct sales. Mr. Manmohan Jain, our session moderator.
Hello.
Good afternoon. It's been a long day. We're going to talk about mobile, and I want to seek your opinion. How many of you read emails on mobile? That's about... Huh? Okay. All right. So similarly, I'll ask each of my panelists to ask you a question, so that they can get an insight into how we work on mobile. Start with Anurag.
Okay. Hi everyone. Couple of questions. On the email part, how many of you read business emails on your mobile phones? Okay. And how many of you read personal emails on your mobile phone? A little larger number. How many people of you, raise your hands, who don't read your emails on mobile phone at all? Okay, just one or two, right? I think. Just one more question in terms of profile. So I will ask that, which part of the industry are you from? Are you the advertiser, publisher, or an intermediary, which means any services company, etc. So how many of you are advertisers here? How many of you are publishers representing the email sending community? And how many of you are intermediary services in intermediary services? Cool.
Hi. My job is to make experiences which get people to do stuff that we want them to. Okay. So just one question. How many of you have received an email that you say, delete the moment you get it? Now this is a very tough challenge for marketeers, right? Because they work extremely hard to push content, to put calls to action, to put entry points into what they want to sell you or want you to purchase. And this one single delete to that email means there's nothing for them. So in today's discussion, we're hoping to talk about how user experience and other ways, other perspectives can bring light to this.
Hi, how many of you actually check your spam folder? Once a day? Once a week? Once a day? Anybody? And how many of you actually go to the trouble of unsubscribing from a newsletter or an email you feel? All right, thanks.
Carrying on with the same question, how many of you have actually never ever received a newsletter after even unsubscribing? So you still receive after unsubscribing? Okay, so that's a note to everyone present here. Another thing, do you check your emails first thing in the mornings? I mean, the moment you wake up, how many of us? Right, so roughly about 70% people, and last thing before you sleep, right? So roughly about 70% people, even otherwise, so that is the global data. Another interesting thing that we wanted to know about, how many of us have actually purchased, have made a transaction while going through a mobile email, an email on your mobile? Have you done a transaction, purchased something? It can be a flight booking or e-commerce. Okay, roughly. Sorry? Okay, great. So the gentleman here says the conference booking as well. Great. So roughly about 50%.
I think the panel pretty much covered majority of it, so I'm trying to think of a really good question. I'll throw a quick fact out there, which I was actually reading last night, which I thought was pretty interesting, is that in terms of mobile and emails, they're saying 50 to 60% of emails are actually opened on your mobile phone. So that was something that, even though I'm in the industry, I was actually quite surprised to see that. And another interesting thing, which I thought it'd be good to share with the crowd, is that Salesforce and ExactTarget, which is another ESP, they actually did a survey in Q4 of 2015, and what they were saying is that of the people that actually surveyed, 64% of them were saying that they actually subscribe to emails from promotions. So even though we, as the panel was saying, that so many people unsubscribe and delete, 64% of us are actually saying we want to know what's happening with the brand. So it's a challenging situation where people are asking for it. So how do you strike the right balance?
Great. MJ.
So that's a good stock to take, that we know mobile is there. Should we have mobile, or should we do mobile friendly designs is not a question. It's already there. Not just that, but a lot of mobile specific design needs to be done. That is not a question mark. Or is it a question mark? Well, if someone says more than half the people in the world wear pants, that is nothing for a guy who wants to sell skirts, right? So it depends. The other 30-40%, are they your customers, not your customers? It depends on that, how you go far in mobile. But assuming that we're talking to a general market audience, designing for mobile and how, in fact, not just being friendly, but mobile first has become very important. The only thing is, how far do we go in making that design? Second, what shall we do about the people who are not opening on mobiles? And remember, when we say 60%, 70% people open on mobile, we're only talking of openers. We're not talking of people who don't open. Right? So I have on my panel two people who are very good in user interface design, and three other people who are very good at marketing strategies. And together, they will be answering these kind of questions to you. And coming from there, the next question which comes to my mind is, okay, we designed a mailer. Huh? Sorry. So suppose you design a mailer which is meant for mobile. What should we do? How many people are familiar with responsive mailers? Well, most of you. So responsive mailer is the minimum we can do if we expect anybody who signed up with us to open on mobile. However, is that enough? That's an important question. Or what more can we do in our design to make sure that it's good experience for the user and he feels like opening it. And opening of a mail is a next level question, and that's what my panel is going to answer. So without much delay, I will get my panel to start talking on the question. What do people use these phones for? I mean, are they meant for, what do the people, customers see that they use the phone for? Why don't we start with, who shall we start with? Which is why don't you start?
So, I did some research before this discussion. Of course, there is some data, a lot of variance in the data that we have for India. Not much data that is available online for India and Indian brands, but globally and including India as well. About 200 million internet users, mobile internet users in India. The average span of attention to mobile is about, average I'm talking about, is about 150 times an average person looks into his mobile screen on a daily basis. That is one number. Second is about 3+ hours are being spent on mobile browsing. So be it checking emails or personal text messages or social media through mobile, email marketing, checking email, personal official emails, which is more than the total time spent on TV. So TV is about 2 hours, but mobile is more than 3 hours in current scenario. So a couple of stats. So what we were, we can make out of this is, of course, there is a greater attention span from users you get on mobile. We do mobile, a lot of brands, advertisers, agencies do try to make emailer which can fit into mobile screen, mobile responsive. But a lot of technicalities, especially Indian brands, Indian agencies and partners, there is a lack of, knowledge when it comes to designing the experience for the users. Is your mobile mailer fitting into all the screens possible? So mobile versus tablet versus different versions of OS. So when we look at mobile browsing, people check their mobile while they are off work. So not necessarily they are there to check email coming from a brand, but there is a very little time for us to catch the attention of the user. So about 80%, and including the audience here, about 80% people delete their emails immediately through their mobile. So there's no second chance for an advertiser. There's no second chance. So what they do is, because mobile is so user friendly, just by a single swipe or a finger tap, you immediately delete your emails and put them into the junk folder or bin. So there's a very little time that we have as advertisers and agencies and partners to attract the user. And which is why we see more opens on mobile, because it's immediately there, single tap you get to see the mailer, which is why we see again when we compare it to desktop and PC, we see more opens on mobile, but in my experience we have seen lesser click-through rates on mobile as compared to desktop and PCs, and we can have this as a discussion point as well. So while mobile is good for opens, but click-throughs and would love to hear from everyone else as well. Conversions happen through desktop and PC. It might be 50-50 or 60-55-45, 60-40. But yes, I mean, as compared to the number of opens, the CTR should have been higher on mobile. So definitely there's a challenge on the way we do mobile email marketing. Are we mobile first? Are we mobile responsive or not? And of course, we have panelists from design experience as well. So, Yusuf?
Yeah, one thing I want to add is actually a pretty interesting point. It's just a comment before I let the other panelists speak. Is that Myntra, obviously majority of people have heard of Myntra, they're actually shutting down their desktop site, and this is actually not from me. Actually, Anurag is the one that shared it earlier, so I'm not going to steal your thunder, don't worry. So they were saying that I think it was like 70 or 80% of their traffic was coming from mobile devices. So, I mean, I am by no means a UI and UX expert. So obviously there's a number of things as marketers that we can do to ensure that, we're creating, when we do get those opens, even though they're very limited from what our other panelists were saying, we need to make sure it's crisp, clear, and a number of other things, which I'll let the other guys say, but you'd be surprised. I mean, Myntra, huge brand. The fact that they're going for mobile applications and mobile optimized site just gives you an idea of how serious mobile is today in India.
Amber is the designer. But you share what people do with mobile.
That's a very good question. Thank you for that. So, the context of the way users behave with their mobile devices starts with something called a mental model. Have you ever heard this term before? Mental model? No? Okay.
One of them.
Somebody, okay, great, awesome. Okay. So if I were to ask you, how would you use the door of this conference, of this boardroom? If you wanted to leave this room, what would you do? Would you push the door outwards to leave? Raise your hands if yes. Or would you, so we have two. Yeah? Alright, push the door. Would you pull the door inwards to leave? Right? Yeah? Okay. Are you sure?
I guess they want to stay here.
Okay. No one's leaving. All that. Okay. The point being that in your head you have an expectation of the way you think the door needs to work. Okay. What makes that happen is the way the handle is placed there, the height is placed there, your previous experience of using doors, all those things constitute into something called a mental model. This is a very important concept while designing. Okay, this makes the foundation. Now, why is it important to the way people use the devices? So the way a mobile phone fits into the user's mental model is different from the way a television fits into their mental model. It's different from the way a tablet fits into their mental model. Each of these devices create different expectations with the way the user wants to engage with them. Okay? Now, the two main ways that people tend to want to engage with the devices. The first one is called the lean forward approach. The other one is called the lean back approach. Lean forward approach says that user wants to perform tasks on that specific tool or device. Lean back says the user wants to casually lean back and browse that on the device, use it for entertainment, things like that. Mobile phones tend to fit into the lean forward experience. People tend to spend 2 to 4 minute what is called snack time activities on their mobile phones. Updating their Facebook status on their mobile phone is a task. They want to get into the task, finish it and come out. Now imagine while you're trying to update your Facebook status and in the middle of it, you are interrupted and you're shown an ad. Okay. Sometimes we get that. They're called interstitial ads. They don't work very well because people in the lean forward mode are not very tolerant towards disruptions. Okay. So emails which jump in, which are not really contextual to what they're looking for as part of that experience when they open the mobile phone, that's why they don't work. So it's very important for us to understand this mental model because this becomes a foundation for users' behavior and why they do and what they do. Let's stop at that.
So, one of the points was Myntra, shutting down their desktop site. Were you guys aware? I mean, please raise your hands if you were aware of it. Wow. Yeah, so it's important, as practitioners of, mobile marketing, I think it's a cornerstone, right? It's a historic event which shows that how, what the future of the device that we hold in our hands is going to be. When I first saw the topic of our discussion which said, mobile first, I think this mobile first discussion was actually a 12-month back 2014 topic. The topic or the thought to really go forward and see and ask, is it going to be a mobile only world where desktop, kind of vanishes away? We are seeing early signs, PC shipments are reducing. cost of mobile phones, smartphones is dropping down. People, are using mobile more and more to do various activities. I was sitting with Snapdeal the other day, and more than 60% of the transactions or thereabouts are happening on mobile devices there, right? So the CMOs, of e-commerce companies are not thinking of desktop anymore, right? Unfortunately, we've all evolved from desktop, and we're saying this is the next screen. I think that, I would kind of, stick my neck out, and I will say that, it's going to be a mobile-only world or a mobile-dominant world in times to come.
So according to you, they will do everything on mobile?
Yeah, it's happening, right? All kinds of, activities, right? And which is why I asked people to raise their hands on just checking of emails, which is, I think, the topic here today is, of course, not e-commerce, not transactions, not mobile only, but topic is email. But, it's all pertinent, because if it is going to be a mobile first or a mobile only world, then it is only imperative that your design, that your user experience, that your user journey, everything is, kind of customized to handle that experience on the device.
So let's ask the second designer.
Hello? Yeah. Well, I think Amber covered the theory very well. I think I have some few random thoughts, and they may not make sort of congruent sense in an overall perspective. But just want to throw them out there. The first is that I want to caution you on sort of to differentiate the user behavior, the context, as we call it in design. The context is very important with the technology, right? 10, 15 years ago, it was desktops. 25 years ago, laptops. Then became tablets and mobile and so forth. Tomorrow will be wearables. 5 years, who knows? There'll be a chip implanted in our brains. Who knows? So technology will evolve, but fundamentals of human limitations don't change. We still have the same cognitive processes in our brain. We still have the same sort of motor capabilities. They've not improved, or so it's only so much we can do. So context becomes very important. So I'm a big proponent, obviously, mobile first, and the debate of mobile first and mobile only. But I want to give an example that we work with a client in the US who manages actually one of the world's largest opt-in databases. And we ran a few tests, researches, and we actually did some usability testing. What we found was that in some cases, desktop still works. In some cases, especially when it comes to selling enterprise products, B2B, etc., the conversion on desktop, etc., was far better than mobile, versus if you're selling restaurant coupons or more B2C kind of products, mobile was far greater than desktop. I mean, people were not even opening emails on desktop. So there is still some dichotomy in which people still, at least from the data we see, is that people are still opening desktop, using laptops for office, mobile, predominantly for personal use, with some business sort of also in there, especially people working kind of chained to the desk, 9 to 5 kind of jobs. Second is what people are doing now is they're segmenting their audience to a very fine degree. That who is actually keeping track of who's opening their emails on mobile, who is not opening their emails on desktops, and they're actually moving away from responsive and actually creating mobile only or desktop only or tablet only kind of emails, messages, because they're fairly certain that this kind of people are going to open on this kind of people are opening on desktop, so why give them responsive? Because you can do a lot more on a laptop screen versus what you can do on mobile. So that way, keep in mind who you're selling to, what kind of product you're selling to, and how finely can you segment your audience so that you don't have to. I mean, I think responsive becomes a very lazy approach. एक कर देते हैं सबके लिए applicable होगा. But rather than if you go to that level, and the data shows that your response is doubles, triples, even, I mean, we have seen even, especially in enterprise space, go up to 20% kind of conversion. It's amazing. So So context actually, and and segmentation of the user. I think these are two key points. Keep in mind before you think about mobile only or mobile first.
Great. So now we know what people do on mobile. So how do we design for mobile? What kind of user interaction and user experience do we need? Would you like to share?
The approach to designing for anything is twofold. Okay. The foundation of design is always to make things usable. Right? That's basic hygiene. That's the plumbing. It needs to work, which means your font sizes need to be appropriate. The amount of content you're pushing in your emails needs to be appropriate. Needs to be chunked in the right way. You need to integrate videos, images, so that people are visually stimulated. The size of the target of the call to actions needs to be appropriate to the finger size, all of that stuff. So that's the basic plumbing which needs to work. But the bigger challenge is you are not in the business of just making usable emails, right? Because if you're doing that, everybody would get it right. All of you guys would be exponentially successful because you'd have the right size buttons on your emails. That's not the differentiation. Okay. The differentiation is what is called, what's your persuasion strategy? Okay. How do you persuade your customers to go forward and do something to that email, or even open the email based on the subject line which you're pushing to them? Okay. That's the pertinent question. Okay. Now, unfortunately, a lot of the emails which are being pushed out there, the primary persuasion tool that they use is called the offer. Okay. Unfortunately, offers don't differentiate you. They don't engage with the users for a sustainable period of time. And I'll tell you a story about this. Okay. The story was like this. There was this old man, and this old man used to live in a quiet neighborhood. He had a nice little house. Okay. One fine day, there was this group of kids which came outside the house, and they made a lot of noise. Okay. So the old man ignored them the first day, but they came again the next day again. Okay. And there were so many of them, they were making so much noise. He came out and he's like, go away, stop making noise. Did not work. They kept coming back. So the old man hatched a plot. He came to the kids and said, you know what? I want you to come outside my house every single day and make as much noise as you can, and I'm going to give you 1 rupee. Every day, I'll give you 1 rupee each if you come and make as much noise as possible. The kids were like, this is great. Right? So the kids came every single day and they made lots of noise. So for 1 month, they keep coming, they kept making noise. And after that, the old man said, you know what? I'm a poor old man. I survive on a pension. So I can't give you that much. I'm going to give you, say, 25% of what I could give you before. What did the kids say? Get lost. We won't make noise. They went away. Okay. Of course, the old man succeeded in reverse persuading the kids, but the point is, the concept of offer doesn't always last. Okay. There's another challenge to the way we try and persuade our customers. What we do is, we try and use as many persuasion principles possible. So there's a discount, there's an offer, there is a beautiful face, there is bright colors. Let's put all of that which will make us successful. Okay. It doesn't work like that. The principle around persuasion strategy says that you have to have first a very solid understanding of the user. So again, I'll come back to the mental model. Your mental model is the basis. Okay? But what about the mental model of the user do you need to understand to be able to design for them? Okay? Not to get too complicated, you need to understand 2 main things. First thing is called a drive. Drive is what drives a user towards doing something. Right? What's your drive for coming to this conference? Okay, maybe good food. Okay. The other thing is the block. Users also may have a block towards why they may not want to do something. Okay? You will not listen to me and leave this room because you like our conference. Okay. Okay. So, identifying these drives and blocks enables you to say, what do I want to target? Maybe if I address this kind of block which the users may have around your emails, I might be able to persuade them better. And one of the biggest blocks which you might face if you research users is trust. Right? Trust becomes a big issue whenever you're pushing promotional emails to the users. Now, to address this block of trust, you need to have something called a frame, a meme, and then appropriate persuasion principles in a strategy to actually achieve the actual end result and business success. Sounds incredibly complicated, which is why it's important to do this. Okay? But yeah, that's what it takes. It's not just usability, it's not just foundational basic stuff. Responsive design is basic hygiene, and Nishant correctly said so, it's not always relevant. It depends on your context. In some cases, you might have adaptive design because the experience on your mobile needs to be significantly different from your other channels. Yes, you would go for that approach if it makes sense. Responsive makes sense if that's what you need. You need to scale down and squish the same thing across different channels. Then you could do that. But that's basic hygiene. This is the basic things you start with. The advanced level stuff which helps you differentiate is building the persuasion strategy. Yeah? With that, I'll stop.
So now that we know deeper insight, but let's take a marketer's perspective. Vijay, would you like to share?
I will agree with Amber because see, you have your design ready, you have best of the designs, best of the responsive coding technique and mobile first mailer ready. But if I have not even subscribed to that mailer or newsletter program or campaign, I think I don't care about the design. I don't even open it. So I will be one of those 80% who just immediately delete the email. So there's no point of having that until and unless I have set up the expectations very clearly as a brand or an advertiser. While I was subscribing, I really feel that it's very important for brands to set up the expectations of the users. What can you accept out of this email marketing? What can you expect out of these mailers? Will you get them weekly, daily, monthly or bi-weekly? Will it only be newsletter? Will it only be informative campaign? Will it only be offers? So maybe I'm not looking for offers from this brand. I just love to follow this brand and I would love to hear back from the brand. So these basics, right? I mean, an integration of all other marketing channels as well. So while you may be doing a great job of designing a great emailer for mobile, or doing a great job at mobile marketing, but other channels you are really you're chasing me, right? I mean, without even you're pushing too much. You've been annoying as a brand. So I don't care about this design or this mailer. So I think as a user, these are very basic things which sometimes because of short-term strategy or short-term gains or ROI or campaigns, because we in this internet world, we are all running behind targets and monthly numbers and purchases and transactions. Somewhere as brands, we tend to forget that. A lot of brands, I mean, including one of the insurers that I buy insurance policy from, I don't remember if they even have sent me any reminder for renewal or not. So they are risking one of the customers who have been with them for last 5 years. Every year I myself go and renew my policy, right? But how difficult is it to send a renewal reminder through an email? So these are the basics as marketer, even agency partners and, representing an agency. This is what we, all of us should come together and work towards. Also, segmentation and ability to, as a brand, the ability to predict what the user is looking for and what is that one call to action. And I'm specifically talking about mobile marketing, mobile email marketing. That one call to action has to be, so it should be, of course we all understand, it should be very crisp, message, very short, curated. The content has to be really innovative for mobile email marketing. Message should be very clear, but having lesser call to actions in a mobile emailer works very well. So just one single call to action. Of course, as a brand, as an advertiser, as a marketer, I would have done my homework in terms of, analyzing the potential of that customer. I'm assuming all of that already in place. So that is.
So can I add? I have a little contrarian, viewpoint. So to give you a background, I run SVG Media, which is into performance advertising, right? So we are a large network. You call it affiliate or a performance network, and our job is to deliver performance to our advertisers. So the advertisers, agencies, come to us, and you know what their brief is? Look, I want 10,000 leads this month there, right? And I tell you what, I want those leads at 80 rupees there, or whatever price point. Okay, so with due respect to all the designers here and all the theory around, the advertiser is not interested in giving anything more than, let's say, the 80 rupees there, right? Whether you have a good design or not, doesn't bother. Whether you have a good UI or not, fine. Yeah, you have looked forward or leaned backward, it's fine. They will give, and tell you what, when it comes to the practical viewpoint, what works best for lead generation campaigns? It's the text mailers there. Where is the design, guys? It's just text. And, coming from me, look, we deliver at SVG, we are delivering close to 20 to 30,000 leads every day. Okay, for more than 150, 200 advertisers typically in a month, right? And they are the who's who. You name it and we would be working with them. BFSI, whether it's banking, insurance, credit cards, education, auto, right? You name it, right? We work with almost all categories and it is the same, right? I want a cost per lead effective such and such amount. So therefore all the design goes, into the theory bucket, and what comes out is a 4-liner text mailer which says, looking for a credit card, click this link.
And also a call letter from TCS.
So
Call letter from TCS, and the mailer turns out to be from a jobs portal.
So let me defend design. So design, I think, as Anurag is pointing out, is very sort of monolithic. So what looks good is not design, right? I mean, that is one aspect of design. Ultimately, design is whatever works. I mean, Craigslist, it's a great example. I mean, just text-based website and it's still very relevant. So whatever works for you. So the credit card mailer works because that's what you need at that time, right? If I get the credit card mailer 12 o'clock in the night, it doesn't work. So design is about when you want to show it, when it's being delivered, to whom it's being delivered. Is it being delivered to somebody who already has 2 credit cards before? So that is also context, that is also design. I mean, yes, I mean, you can just bombard everybody, and that's fair. But if you have the credit card mailer and you're getting 10,000 responses, what I believe that if you design it instead of 10,000, I'm sure design can take it to 12,000, 15,000. And also keep in context that 4 years ago when actually I would just back up a little bit. 4 years ago when smartphones started kind of becoming cheap, I predicted, actually I said email is going to be dead now. I didn't believe email will last, but if you look at the email clients on phones, how they've evolved, it's a remarkable story. So we should all actually adapt your email. So I get content which is still designed for old types of email. But if you, I don't know how many have you seen Gmail's Google's new inbox app for email? It's beautiful. It's brilliant. It doesn't look like email, but the way it categorizes content, the way it shows you what's important, what's not. It shows some content is shown the entirety, so your tickets and all that, and if it's a newsletter, it shows a substantial newsletter right there, and it detects what you're looking at. It's learning from your behavior. So keep that also in mind, because as the phones evolve, the email clients will evolve. Your newsletters will also need to evolve with that. And text works great. As long as it works, it's fine, but it may not work 1 year from now, 2 years from now. And the phones are different, the clients are different, and the way you read emails on the web browser, on your computer, the subject line matters, the first line in your content matters, may not be the case when you're using Inbox as your email app. So keep all that in mind.
Vijay, you're going to add something? You were responding to Anurag, right? Okay. So I have a question from you, Anurag. Some of these mailers that I get, sure they generate leads, but they do tremendous damage to the brand. I mean, Citibank mailers, I mean, there's tremendous damage to the brand.
See, look, fundamentally, let me, make one thing very clear. Media exists because of advertising, right? And all advertising by its very nature is disruptive. I am watching a cricket match. It's the last few overs or maybe last over, and an ad comes. Bloody hell, it's disruptive, right? But we are not shooting down the television channels for doing this. But yes, tell you what, we don't like when the same thing happens online. We don't want to pay for content, but we will want to kind of, bully or put down the advertising. So advertising is a fact of life, right? No matter however much, look, let's take a step back. When a Citibank or any other bank for that matter is advertising online, their objective is very clear. Look, I don't want to be doing branding on the digital medium, right? I will do branding on the television, on newspapers or outdoors, but tell you what, I am using internet for direct response, right? And they are very categorical about it. Right, wrong is a different question. Every media vehicle has their own qualities. Like television is fantastic in brand building, outdoors kind of amplifies the brand building, right? So which is why there is a use. And I believe, we live off performance here, right? And internet is a very beautiful direct response medium which is accountable, measurable to the nth degree. So advertisers will continue using internet till the time, email is alive. If not, then maybe native, advertising, maybe some other form, right? We will all evolve. But saying that, an advertiser is doing damage to their own brand, I don't think so. I think Citibank will continue doing what they're doing, and they will continue generating ROI from the internet. And long live Citibank. Yeah.
One thing I want to add is that in the beginning I shared the report I was reading last night, and the interesting thing was, I'll just recap it, is that so of the respondents that they asked, they said 64% are actually subscribed to the brand notifications, and they asked the other 36%, why aren't you actually subscribed? And the reason was, just to kind of further amplify what everyone else was saying, is that 43% of them, which was the highest, 43% of them said that it was disruptive to them. All right? And the second thing, the second highest was 32% of them said that it had no relevant content. They were not serving me relevant information. And 19% of them said basically to save battery life, which was interesting. But yeah, I mean, again, relevancy is absolutely key. And then, again, the disruption, which everyone else was saying as well, is very important also.
If I may add. So this comes from a very recent experience that we had working for one of our clients. So they were creating an experience for the user where every single time they would open up the browser, they would have to sign up for something. Okay. So the user's expectation is, I open a mobile browser, I want to browse and reach a certain site, but they're like, no, you have to first sign up for this. So what do the user do? And typically we say skip, right? How many times do you think the same registration form came back? 999 times. Right? We call this the foie gras approach. Right? If you guys know what I'm talking about, it's an extremely cruel way of overfeeding geese, and you cram the thing down their throat till they perish, but they do not have an option but to eat it. Okay. So you have to, correctly with my colleague, you have to respect the ability of every single channel. And television, for example, the ability for people to consume ads is actually greater. Okay. They are more tolerant towards what's coming there. It works to a certain extent. But then when they move to something like mobile, then they're more focused towards what they want to get done at that particular time. So maybe they don't have patience towards that. So disruption, agreed, is contextual as well. It may not always be to the same degree. So you have to be sensitive to context in that way as well.
Yeah. Just to add my 2 bits, television is a declining industry globally and print is dying. Just for information, yeah? Nothing against design. I love design, of course. No, I hire good designers. It's very difficult to get them there, right?
I think we have taken quite a lot of time, and I think we'll throw questions, open to questions from the audience.
Sure.
Yes.
Can you just tell your name and the organization you're working with and the question, please? And maybe direct to whoever you want or to the panel in general.
Good evening, my name is Sanjay, I am from Abundance. This discussion opened a very important aspect. My observation is that design is essentially a cultural thing. And I think, especially directed to SVG Media, I think Anurag, the fact that you're able to get away so far so long, it is also throwing up an opportunity for someone to get the design aspect as part of the whole branding exercise. Because my feeling is this is seriously lacking in India. No one has seriously worked around it. No one has actually given it a thought that it needs to be given to it. Because we've been focused on numbers. The mass bombardment gets you revenue, so you get away with murder. Going forward, I get the feeling that as the market evolves, the society evolves, the nuances and the subtlety of design, the building the whole branding culture will become very, very important. So what's your thought on that?
Absolutely, no doubt about that. I completely agree with you on all counts, right? So, yes, we've got away with murder or with, spam. Spam is equal to murder here. I'm sick and tired in my inbox when I see, do you want a credit card? No, I don't want, but I still keep on getting messages from, so many, I can show my mobile right now, we'll have at least 10 such messages there, right? Sure, but having said that, I think there is already a lot of evolution happening on user behavior, big data, smart targeting, relevant targeting. Already we are seeing native advertising, in-stream advertising, kind of the next frontier. We are talking about, delivering right message to the right user at the right time on the right device, and all of these, sure, right? I'm not kind of saying that, hey, look, it is only the text mailers that will survive even 3 years later. Look, I don't even know which side of my bread will be buttered 3 years from now.
Hi, Kunal here from SBI Card. We spoke about one of my competition who is spoiling the brand by sending out so many emailers and so many communication in general. Now I'm a big ambassador for good design, a good brand, being a brand owner myself. Now that we are talking about the future is text mailers. Now is that going to completely kill the brand? Because yes, on the one hand it's going to deliver more in terms of performance, in terms of leads, but is it going to really kill the brand?
So is the question to me or to the design guy?
Ideally to you. Yes.
Okay, so I think the question is in 2 parts. I'll take both the parts. Look, I'm not at all demeaning the branding exercise of any brand, right? I think they spend or invest a lot of money behind design. My idea is not to say design is not relevant, right? But what I'm saying is that when I look at all the performance clients, none of them are using internet for brand building. That is the hypothesis number 1. Do we want to change it? Sure, I would love to see more branding budgets coming into it. It's a more profitable business for me. But having said that, you said you're from SBI, right?
SBI Cards, yes.
SBI Cards. Can you tell me what is the percentage of ad spend that you're doing on the digital this year?
North of 30.
North of 30. Can you tell me how much of that 30% is on branding on the internet?
A good portion of it.
Okay, I think you are one of the very rare advertisers in the industry because...
While I quantify that, while I have quantified that, I would want to say most of that brand building thing happens maybe on the other medium. Maybe call it social or call it email marketing. Yes, to my own customers, definitely brand building does play a role there. But when I have to look at acquisition, maybe as competition is also doing, maybe it's killing the brand somewhere, because it has to be more direct, more in your face rather than anything else, because it's just calling out for action and it's not promoting the brand in some ways. So how does that work from there?
Yeah, sure. So I think the people, the design, experts on the panel have given a lot of good pointers on how, the right communication should be. But the fact remains that when I speak, and I don't want to name on this forum, various banks and other clients, or education, or auto clients, but they spend almost north of 90% of their budgets on the digital space for performance, which is equal to lead generation here, right? So therefore, if that is the construct of the advertiser and that's their objective, honestly, I am not capable or competent of changing that construct. However, what I'm capable or competent to is to make money out of it, yeah, right? That's my job. Having said that, should they be spending more? Of course they should be, and hopefully that they would be, right? And it's not only that. I think they're already spending a lot of money behind designing their websites and other digital assets. Yeah.
I'd like to add to what Anurag said. A text need not be without branding. Text is the fact that you're very matter of fact, giving straight offer is also a kind of a branding. Also, I've come across many mailers which I get where a long story is told to me and I feel like reading the second page, right? And that's all text, and that's also branding.
Just a quick point is, design actually constitutes three things. One is how usable it is, which Amber covered beautifully. The second part is how useful it is, and the third is how engaging it is. So, and all three may not be equal. So what Anurag is saying is that text messages are so useful, the other two parts can be shortchanged, at least for now. But depending on what you're selling, how you're selling, to whom you're selling, all these three parameters, the right balance of three parameters should determine your strategy, really.
Anurag, I have a view here. I represent a bank. Now, most of those emailers which you see of a brand which you mentioned, those emailers are never sent by that brand.
Yep.
Those emailers are sent by their DSAs without the brand knowing. So a lot of time we see a lot of communication coming from banks, but it's actually not coming from banks. It's coming from their affiliates, their DSAs, their agents, be it BFSI or be it banks or insurance. Second, in terms of design, so most of the brands, they have certain kind of template, and yes, we are moving away from the templates, but even then, there would be a very hygienic kind of stuff which any brand would do. So I just would like to comment that the lot of text ads which you see today, it's actually not sent by the brand. So if you ever see us XYZ bank sending that email, just touch on that and see the mail ID. It will never say from xyzbank.com. So that was the point I wanted to make.
So I'm answering your first question first. When you say the sender name, the bank is of course not directly sending it. They are contracting or buying media on a cost per lead model, and so the media owner is sending, and the media owner could be a list owner, could be an opted-in site owner, and there are multiple media owners who have email databases, opted-in databases. When you go and opt into a particular site or a newsletter, etc., they ask you to sign certain TNCs, which could also say that we are free to send you promotional emailers. So therefore, lot of them, contrary to what you're saying, are approved emailers by the advertiser. It is not non-approved, but yes, the bank or the advertiser himself is not sending those emailers. Does that answer your question?
No, I was not asking you a question. I was generally commenting on the fact that you're saying the text.
Yeah, so I'm just countering that, that it is not correct.
Okay, so maybe
the banks are authorizing other people to send that communication on their behalf. If you see, when you click on that link, the email ID may not be of the bank, but when you go to the landing page, that digital asset will belong to the bank.
Of course, yes. Of course, yes.
So which means there is an authorized activity by the bank.
There's authorized activity, but yeah, to my best of the knowledge, seeing text ads and from that brand which you mentioned, I would not agree that the brand managers would today shift their stuff from a, so to say, design templated stuff to a pure text ad.
You would like to come to my office? I will show you approved emailers there.
Okay, okay.
From about 50 of such big brands there.
Okay, no. So I think, so best of luck for those brands, yeah. Thank you.
So I think the point Anurag is trying to bring that, text mailers are very important because that's a way of quickly, easily disseminating our intent to our customers and at the same time consuming the same as well. So they're very important, right? That's a way of getting. Another point I think which is important for us to walk away from this event from is that design is not just colors. It's not just images, it's not just graphics. Okay. Design for a very long time has been well-informed critical thought. Okay. And there's a great article, I believe, by McKinsey recently, which talks about this lady, I believe at Cisco, who's embedded design thinking not just into making software, but in all factors of things. So the act of writing a piece of text is also the fact that you're designing it. The way you articulate the same to achieve a desired outcome and intent is also a factor of design. The representation of brand as part of the text is not just the color scheme or the font style that you've chosen, but also the tone of the language. So the same tone could be smarmy, the same tone could be casual or formal or medical or professional, right? That's a representation of brand as well. So text ads as a medium is very important for the factor of that a very small portion of this world population actually has smartphones and can see fancy rendition of what's going on with them. A major portion of this world actually sees just text-based stuff. So we have to think about that as a way of communicating.
We have time for just one more question.
Yes. The gentleman here is...
From Shamaz Mansoori, I come from dailyobjects.com. You gave an example, Amber, about gate opening, pushing and pulling. Suppose if I have 100 customers who have potential, 70 of them will push it outwards and 30 of them would pull it. So how do I reach a decision? Should I cater to the 70? Should I focus the 30 people to push it outwards? So how do I reach a decision to make both of them happy?
Very, very good question. Okay. So design, the way the process has been structured, works on a rule called 80-20. Okay. By the nature of the way you go about it, you can focus on the 80% majority and not so much the 20%.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, huh? Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Okay, so my question to again Anurag, and we are meeting after 5 years approximately today, 4 years to be precise. So what my point is, say for example, everyone talks about B2C kind of segment, B2C kind of thing, but there is good amount of business which is going on in B2B also. So for example, for Anurag or for Ignite, everyone there is B2B. So how you devise a strategy in terms of email marketing or maybe text only strategy which caters to B2B segment, which is not as large, it could not be in millions, it could not be in 100,000, it could be in maybe probably in thousands.
So very good question. I think fundamentally you're very right. B2C becomes more mass and B2B becomes more and more targeted and focused. So imagine a large IT company wants to, distribute their white papers there, right, on let's say cloud computing. So they are looking at only CTOs, as their target audience. So you will have to look at, so the communication or the media channels that they will use is interesting because they will look at where would they find such people. So they can find them on, let's say, on portals like CXO Today or, the technology portals. They could find these users on, let's say, LinkedIn. They could find on other social media networks by targeting their interest keywords, etc. And that is how, this whole B2B space is being reached out by advertisers. They would also look at certain email lists which are specifically, list owners who have, email lists like these. So for example, if you want to address, let's say, media planners of the country, then I would go to an email list like an Exchange for Media, AFAX or a Medianama, right? So that is how you start looking at then smaller numbers but relevant audiences.
Okay, I think we are running out of time, and I would like to just conclude the session very briefly. Nishant talked of looking at the drive and looking at the block and designing to remove the block and aiming at the drive, whereas Amber talked of looking at the mental model, see people what they're doing with the user interface, what the mental model user comes out with, and how to work with that while designing your offers. Whereas Vijayant and Anurag brought in the marketing perspective of saying that yes, you want to do a best design, but also there's the issue of saying what the user, are you getting the right users, are you able to generate business for you, Vijayant particularly talked of getting the good subscribers in, have you taken the permission, also looking at very simple no nonsense things like if you're working with mobile, your files have to be small, only one call to action, not many call to action. And similarly, Yusuf brought in the issue of saying what are the people doing in the world and how we need to design user interface with this. I think we could go on and on with this, but I think we should
just a quick survey I want to run.
Yes.
Can we have 5 brands who have really impressed with their email marketing, and anyone can share their favorite brand? Do you remember any impactful, impressive email campaign of recently? Which one? Citibanks. American Swan. Make My Trip. Uncancelled. Okay, yeah. Zappos. One more. Groupon. Okay. Kotak #banking. That's a good campaign, yeah. You want to say something? Okay, great.
Thanks a lot. It was a good
Thank you.
session.